Today on the Metal Roofing channel, we talk about residential metal roofing, what types of materials are involved, what myths often occur, and what type of maintenance you have to perform. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Metal Roofing channel and welcome to Q&A Mondays. It's a great day here on the channel. I'm here in Austin, Texas, and behind me is actually a residential house that we're putting a metal roof on. It's Matt Reisinger's house. He's gonna be on the Metal Roofing channel this Wednesday. We're gonna have a full video detailing this project. But right now, we're gonna talk about residential metal roofing. I've got Doug Markle, Adam Mazzella right here, and I've got my questions. We're gonna go down the list and talk about some different topics. So Doug, let me start with you. Tell me a little bit about what types of metal roofing we often see in a residential application.
Typically in a residential application, you're gonna see standing seam, which is a concealed fastener system. You're going to see an exposed fastener system like an R panel. You might see metal shingles, some sort of metal stamped product, even a stone-coated steel.
And you know, sometimes we hear that that metal roofing is kind of an industrial look, but we see it more and more in residential applications all the time.
Absolutely.
Tell me a little bit about that. How often do we see metal in residential nowadays?
Nowadays, I would say that metal is becoming a really popular residential roofing choice, especially here in Austin, Texas.
Yeah, for sure, and we see a great example of it here. So let's talk about profiles, exposed fastener and standing seam. What kind of profiles do we typically see on a residential application?
Typically on a residential, you're going to see a snap lock concealed fastener system because of the ease of installation. It doesn't have to be mechanically seamed.
Awesome, man. We have an example right here. Adam, can you grab that for me? This is a 1.5" snap lock panel that's going up on this house right now. You can see the striated ribs right here. Tell me a little bit about why someone would want to use striations in this particular profile on this house.
Striations are, as you can see, some indentations in the flat part of the panel, and it does help eliminate the appearance of oil canning.
Awesome, and we're going to talk about oil canning a little bit later. Yeah, real quick, we see something being pulled off the panel. What is that?
Yeah, so I'm actually pulling it off of this, but this is just PVC. It's just plastic film that goes on the panel. Helps protect the panel in transport. Obviously helps protect it during installation. You can see he's pulling the plastic off right now. This is just another way to preserve the integrity of the panel. It's a little bit of an upcharge, but it's absolutely the right way to go in terms of protecting your panels, keeping them intact, you know, before they're installed and up on the roof.
Awesome, that's a great point. Can you tell me about some typical materials that you might see in a residential metal roofing application?
Yeah, so when we're talking steel, you know, you can see a G90 galvanized. We've had videos about that, but we're predominantly focused on an AZ50 Galvalume. You can find these metal roofing types in all kind of three of the metal panel types, being the face fastened or exposed fastener, the standing seam, as well as the fastener flange. All of those systems are going to predominantly use AZ50 Galvalume. Those have a substrate on the warranty. Again, make sure that it's AZ50 Galvalume. Anything less is just an inferior product, or a G90 galvanized. I mean, I know it doesn't carry the warranty that a Galvalume does, but you're also looking at another high-end quality product as far as metal panels go. Sure.
Now talk to me about some material that you might see like in a coastal application or some other higher end materials.
Sure. So in coastal applications, you're going to see a lot more aluminum. You'll also see a lot more products that are just designed to patina, like a copper or a zinc. Just keep in mind the construction with those products. It varies, and you're going to need additional ventilation. You're going to want to make sure that you use a little bit different construction methods than what we're seeing here, but by and large, it's not dramatically different. They're just metals that are designed to last longer in that harsher environment.
Right.
Also, understood. In a coastal application, you should know that your paint warranties might differ with a coastal application because of your exposure to salt spray versus an inland application as well.
So that also brings up a pretty good point in terms of paint. You've got different types of paint systems used in residential applications. A lot of the lighter gauge metals, you'll see an SMP or even a polyester system. Those aren't bad systems, but the really good system is a PVDF or a Kynar. You're going to pay more for that, but it's also going to retain the color much longer and be more vibrant much longer than an SMP type system. It's going to have less chalk and less fading and things like that, that white residue.
Yeah, and when you're choosing a substrate like Galvalume that lasts so long, you want a paint system that will be comparable and last as long as the substrate.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's talk about roof decking a little bit. Tell me some considerations that you have to keep in mind when thinking about your decking as a residential homeowner.
Sure. So we want to preach a flat deck, as flat of a deck as you can get every time. You know, a flat deck is going to give you a more consistent look with your panel. You'll see less bowing. It'll just have truer lines, but you'll also have significantly less oil canning with a flat deck. So replace plywood that's damaged or warped. You know, that is critical with residential re-roofing and installs, even with new construction. If your contractor's out there and you see something that doesn't look right, make sure you get it fixed, because that will transfer through on your metal roof.
So that's a good segue into oil canning. Tell me what oil canning is and kind of what steps you can take to minimize that.
Sure. Oil canning is really the stresses you see in the panel. It could be caused by the deck. It could be caused from the clip panel interface. It could be caused for, you know, just waviness in the coil that was used to form the panel. It could be caused by the roll former. But predominantly, when we see oil canning or exaggerated oil canning, more often than not, it's coming through from the roof deck. So coming back to your question was, how does the roof deck impact it? You know, if you have a roof deck that is not level or not in plane, you know, it could drastically impact what's going on. You know, we highly recommend that if you are putting a 50-year roof on and you've already got 30 years of plywood, you may want to explore getting your plywood replaced. That could cause, you know, immediate oil canning, but it could also be cause and shorten the life of your roof beyond that, because it might not just be a good attachment product from there.
Yep.
I'd just also add on to that, we talked about striations a few minutes ago. Most metal roofing contractors with their roll forming equipment have the ability of putting in something along the lines of a striation or a pencil rib or a V-rib or a bead rib, anything that's going to put an imprint in the smooth part of that panel will help eliminate the appearance of oil canning.
Yep.
Yeah, and we openly push for our contractors, our customers, our manufacturers to require their end users, that's you homeowners, requiring the homeowners to understand that if you just have a pure flat panel and no structure, clip relief, striation, stiffening rib, stiffening bead, a million different names for putting structure in the panel, that they really shouldn't be held liable for potential oil canning.
Yeah, let's see that again. Can you grab that panel for me? Yeah, so show me the striations again.
So here's the striations. I mean, you're seeing a consistent pattern spaced about 1 inch across, and it's just giving some break and some depth to the panel going across. And when that's installed, even if there is oil canning and something pulling on it, it gets broken up by the striation that's in there.
So Doug, let's say you're a homeowner, you want a metal roof, but you're in a covenant controlled area. How do you approach that, and what's the first steps you need to take?
I would suggest the first thing you do is check with your homeowners association. While it's becoming more widely popular, there still are some homeowners associations that are reluctant to metal roofing.
Okay.
You could possibly run into limitations on the type of metal roofing, whether it's standing seam, whether it's a stone-coated steel, whether it's some sort of metal shingle. It would just always be best to check with your local homeowners association before you start a roofing project.
You know, this is the one big selling point, or one of the big selling points for HOAs, is that it's going to be wildly more solar reflective and energy efficient than most shingle systems that are out there. And then when you start talking about the shingle systems that are as, energy efficient as a metal roof, you are starting to get into the range of a metal roof cost or a standing seam metal roof cost, and even north of there.
So if you're considering a metal roof, what type of maintenance can you expect to do on your metal roof over the years?
So really the big thing is general maintenance. I mean, a lot of houses have trees that overhang, so if you get leaves up there, if you have, backup, build up gunk in your gutter, make sure you clean that out, because that's going to just trap moisture in there, and that's going to cause the metal to fail faster, especially if it's backing up and getting moisture onto the metal roof. Also, if you have debris that's on the roof, I mean, a lot of areas in the country have significant pollen or sap. You're going to want to wash that off. Usually just water will work. If that doesn't work, a mild soap will work. Never use a pressure washer. Never use, solvent-based things. Again, this is painted. You will and potentially rub that paint right off, and so you don't want to degrade the paint system. Just something mild like dish soap and warm water should do the trick. If you're ever in the situation where a roof was neglected, or you have significant staining or significant touch-up stain issues, just reach out to your metal roof manufacturer. We've got A lot of great companies like Sherwin-Williams behind us backing up our product with their paint, and they've got a lot of great insight on the care and maintenance beyond what we can even help with as well.
You want to make sure that if you have any sort of pipes coming through your roof or dryer vents, things along those lines, you want to use a properly fitting deck tight or pipe boot closed up with a waterproof sealant. Also, if you have a satellite dish attachment or anything along those lines, you want to use a properly fitting clamp that's designed to fit over the seams on that roof so that you're not compromising the paint finish on the metal roof.
If you aren't sure about something, call a professional. If you're not comfortable with going up on your roof, have a professional come out and check it, clean it, maintenance it. It's not that big of an expense. Better to stay safe than risk going up on a roof if you're not comfortable with it.
Sure. Awesome. Well, thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. Again, on Wednesday, Matt Reisinger right here on this channel talking about his house project. Stay tuned for that video. Thanks so much, guys. Comment down below if you have any questions that you'd like us to answer on Q&A Mondays. Check us out at SheffieldMetals.com. Subscribe to the Metal Roofing channel. We'll catch you next time.